Half an acre. That's all I'd need. Most people think self-sufficiency requires huge farms, expensive tractors, and dozens of acres of land. They picture massive fields stretching to the horizon and assume food independence is only for full-time farmers. But the truth is, if someone handed me just half an acre today and told me I had to feed my family, cut my grocery bill, and become as self-reliant as possible, I wouldn't feel limited at all. In fact, I'd see opportunity, because half an acre is over 21,000 square feet. That's more than enough space to grow vegetables, produce fruit, raise animals, harvest honey, and create a food system that keeps producing year after year. The problem isn't that people don't have enough land. The problem is that they don't know how to use the land they already have. Most people waste half their property on grass they mow every week and never eat. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what I would do with only half an acre. Not a hobby garden, not a weekend project, a real food-producing system designed to provide vegetables, protein, fruit, fertilizer, and long-term food security. Before we begin, if you enjoy practical content about self-sufficiency, homesteading, and food independence, make sure to subscribe to Nature Truth YT and leave a like on this video. Now, let's get started. Before we talk about what I would build, let's talk about what most people get wrong. They focus on the wrong things. They grow vegetables that look good but don't provide many calories. They spend thousands on fancy structures before growing a single tomato. They start 5 different projects at once and become overwhelmed. And most importantly, they don't create a system. They create separate projects. A garden over here, some chickens over there, a compost pile somewhere else. Nothing works together. The secret to making a small property productive isn't working harder. It's making every part support every other part. When the animals feed the soil feeds the plants, and the plants feed the animals. The entire property becomes more productive every year. That's the mindset I'd use from day one. The first thing I'd build is an intensive food garden. Not because vegetables are exciting, because vegetables are the foundation of everything else. I'd dedicate a large section of the property to food production, but I'd focus on crops that actually feed people. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, dry beans, corn, winter squash. These crops provide calories. They're the foods that replace grocery store trips. Then I'd add tomatoes, peppers, onions, carrots, kale, and other nutrient-dense vegetables. Every bed would be planted intensively. No wasted space, no giant pathways, no empty ground. I'd also grow vertically whenever possible. Pole beans, cucumbers, and climbing crops would grow upward instead of outward. The goal would be simple: produce the maximum amount of food from the minimum amount of space. The next section would focus on food that keeps producing year after year. This is where fruit trees and berry bushes come in. I'd plant dwarf apple trees, pear trees, peach trees, maybe a plum tree depending on the climate. Along fences, I'd plant blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries. These plants take time to mature. That's exactly why I'd plant them immediately. Every year you wait is a year you lose. Once established, they can produce food for decades. I'd also include perennial crops like asparagus and herbs. These plants become some of the lowest maintenance food sources on the property. Plant them once, harvest for years. Protein is one of the most expensive categories in any grocery budget. That's why I dedicate part of the property to animals. If I were starting from scratch, I'd begin with quail. Quail require very little space. They're quiet, they mature quickly, and they can provide eggs almost every day. After that, I'd add rabbits.
Rabbits are one of the most efficient meat animals in the world. They reproduce quickly, require little space, and convert meat into feed remarkably well. The real advantage is that these animals can be integrated into the rest of the system. Garden scraps feed the rabbits. Animal manure feeds the compost. Compost feeds the garden. Everything stays connected. Most people underestimate soil, but soil is where everything begins. Without healthy soil, your garden struggles, your harvests shrink, your costs rise. That's why I'd build a compost system immediately. Kitchen scraps, garden waste, animal manure, everything goes back into the soil. Instead of throwing valuable nutrients away, I'd recycle them into future harvests. Year after year, the soil would become richer, the plants would become healthier, and the need for purchased fertilizers would continue to decrease. Good soil is like a savings account. Every season you invest in it, the returns grow larger.
The final major component would be bees. Most people think bees are only about honey. They're much more valuable than that. Bees increase pollination. Better pollination means more fruit, more vegetables, more berries, more production across the entire property. The honey is a bonus. A single hive can provide a surprising amount of sweetener every year. And unlike many livestock, bees require very little space. They're one of the highest return additions you can make to a small property. Now, let's talk about the results. After the first year, I'd expect a steady supply of fresh vegetables. I'd expect eggs from the quail. Compost production would be underway. The fruit trees would still be developing, but the foundation would be set. By year 2 and year 3, things become much more interesting. The berry bushes begin producing heavily. The fruit trees start contributing meaningful harvests. The garden becomes more productive because the soil improves. The animal systems become more efficient. At that point, a large percentage of the family's food could come directly from the property. Fresh vegetables, fruit, eggs, honey, meat, and potentially thousands of dollars saved every year compared to relying entirely on grocery stores. Half an acre won't make you a commercial farmer, but it can give you something many people are losing today: independence. If you enjoyed this video and want more content about self-sufficiency, homesteading, food production, and practical ways to become more independent, make sure you subscribe to Niger Truth YT. Hit the like button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.